Well, we have a big show today, as we always do. Elliott Shore-Parks will join us at 3 o'clock to talk about the Eagles' new long snapper. Tornado Shapiro with his weekend forecast at 3:30. We bring back Mike Mayock at 4 to talk about the Eagles' offseason so far. And the very first time we award the belt.
Yes.
The belt.
Do you think everyone at the station is gathering around at that time?
To find out who at WIP will be the first holder of the belt.
Now, this isn't like BTA, belt to ass.
It could be.
Well,
you never
you can
know.
do with the belt whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
think
yeah.
of it just sort of like the heavyweight championship belt of WIP and who has it.
Okay.
And this is the first time that we will award it to someone. So that comes at 4:30. So, the way you open the show, Ike, is actually pretty interesting to think about because of the way that I think we're going to start the show today.
Yes.
And we are less than 2 weeks away from the Philadelphia Phillies opening day. And, I don't feel really anything from anyone. And the only thing I have to compare it to is last year, when we were doing it last year. Because I haven't been here in a few years. I wasn't here for the 23, season or the 22. But last year, there was a buzz. There was an excitement. There was an energy for the start of Phillies season. I felt it in spring training. I felt it here in Philadelphia. And there was a lot of buzz. And I am psyched for the Philadelphia Phillies to start the season this year. They won 95 games last year. They've been in the playoffs 3 straight years. They have one of the best rotations in baseball. And I'm pissed off about how the season ended last year, but I am still excited and energetic about this season. And I just don't feel it. And I don't know if it's because people don't believe in the team anymore. I don't know if it's because the Eagles won the Super Bowl and everybody's just not ready to switch over or what it is. Or maybe there are people excited and I'm just missing it. But there's something that is not there with the Phillies, and I can't figure out exactly why.
Well, listen, the diehard baseball fans, I believe, are always excited this time of the year, knowing opening day is just a couple weeks away. So I totally get that. I still get excited about opening day in general. Growing up in the baseball city, the city of the first ever Major League Baseball team. I don't know if you guys ever knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Cincinnati Reds. Yeah, we have a parade every year, opening day.
Yep, because there's no parade at the end of the year.
It's like the Wing Bowl.
It's pretty
It's
true.
like the Cincinnati Wing Bowl.
215.
Yeah.
Don't derail.
I know.
Okay.
I'm not
Let me get back
bad.
on track
Yep,
here.
yeah.
So, I understand why there are those of us, like myself. When I say us, I mean me and those that are thinking like I am with this baseball team. I'm not there with them yet. I'm just not. Bryce, love Bryce Harper, always will. There's a kinship there that we have when we look into each other's eyes every spring training. So I understand that part of it.
Yeah.
But other than that, in all seriousness, I'm just not excited about the Trey Turner thing anymore. As great as Zach Wheeler is, I know what he's going to do when he takes the mound every time he goes out there. Aaron Nola doesn't really inspire energy, even though he's one of my guys. Cal Schwarber, who I probably like second most of the everyday players.
Because he's an
on
Ohio
the
guy?
team. Yeah, because he's an Ohio guy. Like that, all that stuff I know is already there. The problem for the Phillies, for a fan like myself, is that the ending of the season has become more important than going through the season for me. Now, I'll enjoy the season. It's part of the job. We're going to follow him every day. We're going to talk about him every day. So I'm not telling you I'm not paying attention. What I'm telling you is that my level of excitement is nowhere where it needs to be because I haven't seen anything or enough to make me excited about this team. I need to see what they're going to do. I need to see what they look like. If there's a different approach at the plate by these guys and they're moving runners and they're doing all these things, okay, then maybe that's the baseball team I can get behind from an excitement standpoint. But even with that, I know this is going to be a good baseball team. Are they going to be good enough? And that's the real problem. And when you have a team like the Eagles, because let me throw them in there as well, who just won a Super Bowl, you got to understand as a fan, that's what a standard is at for us now. Unless you're in the JV leagues. Like the Eagles are the varsity. They're winning championships, playing in the Super Bowl, like living up to expectations, all those things. That's where our mindset is at coming off the Super Bowl. And the Phillies have let us down the last 3 years, each year gradually worse than the year before. I can't get there right now. I just can't. I can't. They didn't give me a reason to be excited coming into the season this year.
215-592-9494. Phillies opening day happening in less than 2 weeks. I'm excited for it. It doesn't feel like people are. If you're not, why not? 215-592-9494. You know, the difference, though, and I think Jack's perspective on this is important. The one thing I wanted to ask you about, though, is that no matter how an Eagles season ends, we convince ourselves before the next season that things are going to be different. Like, if it ends bad, we always find a way. We get mad, and then there's this down part, but then we always ramp back up. And we're always like, I know how it ended last year, but here's why I think it's different this year. Mm-hmm. And I think we even did it with the Sixers, honestly, during the process. Like, every year it ended bad, but somehow before the next season, we would find ourselves a way to believe that this was the year. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't feel like it's happening with the Phillies, and I can't figure out. Like, I think they're good enough to have earned it. They did disappoint last year.
Yeah.
I just think there's enough there to get there, and that's why I'm not quite understanding it.
You want to jump in? Or?
Well, no, it's funny because I am kind of with both of you guys. Like, I can't wait for the Phillies, obviously. I think they're World Series contenders. I think people are a little too, I don't want to say too tough on them, but I think the grace period is over for the Phillies. And I think where Ike is, and I think where a lot of people are, is just wake me up in October. Like, what Ike said about, I know what these guys are. I think that echoes with a lot of people. I know what Schwarber's going to do. I know what Harper's going to do. I know what Bohm's going to do. I know what all these guys are. I know what Turner's going to do. He's going to be hot and cold. When he's hot. And when he's cold, he's really, really brutal. Castellanos, same kind of thing. But I do think we've gone too far of no one's calling them bums, but I think we've gone too far with they can't win. Like, I think looking at the power rankings all around.
The national ones.
They were a top 3 team in baseball. And I do think that there's some Dodgers fear. Like, the Dodgers have just gotten to the point where.
Stacked all-star roster.
It's so much like, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? Which I don't think you can do in baseball. But I really do think that they are legitimate World Series contenders still. And I think the buzz will grow when they start playing. I think it's mostly Super Bowl malaise. And a lack of a quote-unquote impact move in the offseason.
It's a terrible combination for the Phillies when it comes to us as fans. To have the Eagles do what they did on the heels of what the Phillies did at the end of the season.
Right.
It's just a bad combination for them. And when you talk about the Sixers lost a large portion of this fan base from an emotional support standpoint after we blew the 3-2 lead versus Boston. And then there were a few of us still hanging on. One more year. We'll give it one more year. They'll come back. Embiid was coming off an MVP season. Maxey looked good, right? Like, so we're like, we'll give it one more year. And then last year happened where, for whatever reason, obviously Embiid getting hurt late in the season derailed the rest of the season. But I think at the end of that season, that's when a lot of people from the Sixers' viewpoint were like, I'm done. And then you really just killed everybody off with the beginning.
With the way this started.
Yes. So, and I'm not saying that's where we are with the Phillies as of right now, but I'm saying that's where it's trending. Like, that's where it's trending.
They got to get it done. I mean, it's the time for this team to get it done. And Boa talked about it, and I think he's totally right. 76, 77, 78, 79 came up short every single year. 80 was the year where it was either make or break. Now, they didn't make a big addition. Like, Pete Rose came in 79.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just think that everyone's tired of the talk, and I think the Phillies smartly have been a little bit like, we're tired of talking about it too.
Right,
you know?
Right. They know they're good, but they're not going to run around beating their chest about how this is the year. They know it's the year.
Yeah,
you know? And you said Boa, by the way, and I know you were shooting hot dogs when we talked to Boa at spring training.
Wasn't working. Yeah.
But he pretty much too was like, look, this is disgraceful that we didn't go far last year. They all know it. We know it.
Yeah.
You know, I was glad to hear that at least some people felt that.
Yeah, and just the reality of it is that, I mean, 22 was not a disaster. 22 was magical.
No.
So the feeling off that was awesome. And they added Trey Turner, another $300 million player. 23 was brutal, but it feels like it didn't hit people in the moment. I think people were annoyed, but they were still like, this is a fun team. And they gave them, they believed in the run it back method last year, and it worked.
It worked for
until the last week of the season.
Maybe they had their best regular season of this era.
Right? Yeah.
So the lack of moves and another brutal postseason. It's just I think people aren't ready to get their hopes up early in the season about the baseball team.
215-592-9494. I'm psyched for the start of Philly season, but I don't feel it. If you don't feel it, why? Is it the Super? You still thinking about the Super Bowl, or are you just too hurt to even move forward with the Phillies? And if you are psyched, love to hear from you too. Now we do have a next question today. It is Michael Caine's birthday. 92 years old. Been in a lot of movies. Michael Caine, legendary actor.
Yeah.
So for next question, we want your go-to Brit. That's right.
Yes.
Somebody's got an accent. They got to get. By the way, they have to have the accent.
Of course. Now,
go-to Brit.
now,
Jack, who's your go-to Brit?
So if I remember correctly, didn't we proclaim ourselves as the #1 most American show at the station?
We are.
Because of the morning show?
Yes.
Going to
When they went to London.
Yeah. But we're saying go-to Brit as we know we have our independence from them, and we know we're bigger than them.
Right.
But, it's like you still have your go-to Brit.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with probably the biggest choker in American history, and that is General Cornwallis, who absolutely choked on the biggest stage and gave us our country.
Brit?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big answer.
General Cornwallis.
Is that on your Mount Rushmore of Fritz?
It is not on my Mount Rushmore. Ike, do you have a go-to Brit?
That was terrible.
I know. But you know what? I got to give him credit. He doesn't steal one from anyone when he does it like that.
You know what? I'm going to give you my Brit, but I'm just saying I've noticed the last 3 days with him.
With the next question?
Yeah, it's just nonsense.
It's a throwaway.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the next question seriously.
Yeah, total
enough.
lack of respect for the next question.
You're not going to get the belt doing that. I'll tell you that much.
If the belt was for comedy and Smiles brought to a radio show,
oh God,
I think I'd be pretty high up.
I just wanted you to know that I feel that from him.
Yeah,
over the last
it has
few
been
days.
this week. It has been this week. He always opens his mouth. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Dude, if you don't think Cornwallis is a big
All
answer,
right, okay, all right.
All right.
You're a go-to Brit.
Well, I got to go with my only Brit that I do know of that isn't a Bond character.
Why do you act like there's no British people that are famous? The only Brit I know of. Like, what are you talking about? I just think you brought this up before the show. I'm so confused.
This is the comeback for
Yeah.
what I just said.
Yeah, you started with it. Don't pay Jack into a corner.
I'm going with Stringer Bell, man.
Idris Elba. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yes,
a good Brit. And he has the accent, but he covers up the accent when he acts sometimes. My favorite Idris Elba moment was Pacific Rim. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It's about the monsters that live in the sea and come out. I thought Idris Elba had a great line in that. Today we're canceling the apocalypse. Great line. I loved them. My go-to Brit is playing his final concert this summer, and that is Ozzy Osbourne.
Wow.
He's doing one final show.
Now, is it a real one final show?
No, it is. He's got Parkinson's. He can barely move. He can sing still, but he can't. So he's doing a few songs with Black Sabbath, but Metallica's playing the show in Pantera, and then the final Ozzy set of all time. So my go-to Brit as a rock guy my whole life has been Ozzy. So 215-592-9494. If you're not psyched for the Phillies this year, why not? You still is it leftover Super Bowl haze? Are you disappointed from last year? And next question today, because it is Michael Caine's birthday, give us your go-to Brit.